Oh, so Tom, we are live, Tom. We are good to go.
Excellent.
very nice.
Yeah, Tom. So if you guys have been watching the Big Guilty Cigar podcast from the beginning, then you know this man right here, Tom Fisher from Bourbon Blog. He was one of my first guests that was on the Big Guilty Cigar podcast, and always an amazing friend, amazing knowledge, and just amazing drinks and kind of mind blowing drinks over at the cigar queue. You know,
Cigar barbecue.
cigar barbecue. I thought it was called a cigar.
It's no cigar barbecue.
Oh, cigar. Oh, cigar
Like you know
You
that
could,
Haitian guy with BBQ.
barbecue.
Yeah, that's right.
you could call
Yeah.
it whatever
That's
you
all right.
like.
Yeah, it was a really amazing time. And you brought some amazing stuff there.
We had so
Cool.
much fun. Innocence. It's great to be back on Big Guilty Cigar Podcast. Great to see you, and great to see you, Sanj. I'm lucky to see you guys a few times, both virtually and in person the last few weeks.
Yeah.
I'm smoking the SP 1014 Black.
Very
of
nice.
course.
Very nice.
Enjoying it. And we brought everything from we had some Kentucky Peerless, some Kings County. We had some
Yeah.
vodka, which I'm actually sipping on right now. We had some Foregate. We had some real good surprise, some Bardstown Bourbon Company. I mean, did you have a favorite that day?
The almanac.
The Armagnac. Oh,
Almanac.
was it really?
Yes. Yes.
Well, look what I have here for you. This just dropped this week. And I was actually at their campus, their Spirits headquarters in Vermont, which is actually on the campus of Bacta Griswold up in Pulteney. This is the new bourbon finished in those Armagnac casks from 2014. And that's actually what I just opened up to sip
Very
with,
nice.
and it's working so beautifully. These creamy, delicious, like really refined sugar notes against just that wonderful
Okay.
cedar wood, just so many spices in this
Oh,
stick.
amazing.
And I tell you, Sanj, this stick it pairs so well with so many different whiskeys too.
Yes, because the binder in it is aged in a bourbon barrel for what full 1 year.
It works so well. Oh
Yeah.
man,
So
works so
listen,
beautiful.
Tom, I have a dinner date with my kids tonight, so I'm going to leave. I just hung out so I could say hello to you guys, and that's that. So enjoy the show.
Thank you,
Eno's
brother.
a good guy.
Eno's
you
the
know,
best.
He's wanted for child support and all kind of shit. So
I thought he
please
might be.
share all you can and get the justice going. And that's that. God bless all.
God
Tom,
bless.
we'll
Good to
speak
see you,
soon.
Sanj. Good to
Enjoy.
see you.
Take
All
care.
right, son. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
We're not sure if so. The question is he guilty or is he innocent? And that's the question they've always asked you, right?
I try to.
There it is.
Hopefully, my Bluetooth is connected now.
I hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. So I try to remain innocent. We got the DEA here.
Hey, no, it's
They're
man,
watching.
We
They're
had
watching.
a great time. We had a great time. Was it almost 2
A really
weeks
good
ago?
time.
We raised a lot of good funds, and
Oh yes.
and I actually spent the first place I when I got there I landed in Newark. The first place I actually came to was Sanj's. That was the first stop I made for like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
I
That's like Sanjay's. It's such a unique crowd, isn't it?
It really,
say the word.
it really is, and it's like a family. It's like a home. I mean, one of the cool things that happened when I was just sitting there having a smoke was some people were on, like Sanj was on the other podcast.
Live. Yeah,
He was live, and the house phone rang at Sandra's, and you picked up for him. You're like, "Hello, Sandra's."
Mhm.
I was like,
Well,
everybody kind of works there, lives there.
Yeah, we all chip in. We all chip in to make sure that this place right here is running well. Like this is our house. And the one thing Sanjay always says, he says, treat it that way. Treat it like your own house.
No, you guys do.
Um,
Hey, are you doing the black too? Which one are you smoking, man?
So no, I'm actually smoking the new Avo Impression.
Okay.
So this is the new Avo that we just got in, and I'm trying it out for the first time. So normally like when I smoke my cigar for the first time, I normally like to just have it with just water.
Yes.
But because I got you on, I'm gonna make an exception. So
Well, and so no, I like that. I like that. So you how that just dropped recently, right?
mhm. We just got it on Thursday, I believe.
Wow. What are you getting off of that? What are you tasting?
Hmm. Well,
Alongside a little bourbon. You got a little bourbon there.
yeah, of course, yeah, because a little bourbon's still on the tongue, so I'm trying to, you know, but right off the bat, like I'm trying not to be like, everybody else, because everybody else is like, okay, well, you get cedar. Well, of course you're gonna get the cedar there. So I'm trying to see what other note I can pull out.
So is it actually, has it rested on cedar a little bit? Has this one actually aged in wood? I know about Avo, but I don't know about this particular smoke. It looks good though. I do like the Avo.
It is very. You know what? It's a very. If you know anything about Avo, and I can't say this, but like Rob probably put this the best way. He said, it's a very Avo cigar where it's consistent. The burn's going to be good. The construction is going to be good on the cigar, but the notes aren't really going to be there. But he said, in his words, it was a good morning cigar.
Good morning.
And
A little
yeah,
bit
so
lighter.
it's very light. It's very good to have with coffee. But for some reason, like I'm getting some pepper with this one, which is
Nice.
very interesting. Like I've been battling like a sinus infection a little bit, so that has everything.
The bourbon's going to help you with that, man.
Uh-huh.
And look, I know you mix up some good cocktails to go with.
Yeah. I try, man. I try. So at the job, man, those guys are really like, when I was talking to Michael Prisdale, the art of bartending is now it's a science now.
Oh
It
yeah,
really
it really is.
So like for those guys to go and put those drinks together, and you actually like the menu because it was a couple of things on there that you were like, oh, okay, that's pretty nice that they're using that.
You did like several different like Negronis, am I right? Like a mezcal Negroni, and you had like a whiskey. I was like, wow, it's like a whole separate area for Negronis, which I think it's great when you can kind of take a theme and dive into it.
Yeah.
Which one's your favorite of the Negronis?
So you know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't had Negroni yet. But when I went there, we have our a old fashioned that we make with now I'm not sure if that's with the Negroni or not.
Right.
Because out of all the years that I've worked there, I've only been to the bar one time.
They gotta have you back more often.
I know.
Actually have a sip.
I know.
I like it. Well, man, it looks incredible, and I can't wait to get down there and join you. And it looks like tiki bars. We got some tiki bar people joining us.
Yeah. So that's my boy Mac. He's a good dude. He's good people. He's out in LA. So if you guys have any questions when it comes to bourbon, this is the guy to ask. Out of all people that I've ever this is the guy that if you have any questions when it comes to like the process and the tasting, because you've been around for almost 20 years now, over 20 years.
Yeah, I started this from very young age. I think I was in high school when I started. I'm pretty sure.
Well,
nobody really knew what I was doing. I had a beard. They didn't question me. I even put a little white in the beard. Then they really didn't question me. No, I've been doing it for about 18 years or so, almost 20. I was very lucky to do one of in that age, right as the bourbon boom was happening. I was very lucky to do one of the first documentaries on it in the early 2000s, and I had no idea the bourbon boom would happen. And once it did happen, I was just kind of shocked that I had gotten into it when I did. And then the pleasure of really watching a lot of brands grow, from big brands that we thought would maybe never make anything else, like Maker's Mark, and then they finally made a couple other things like Maker's 46 and the single barrels, which are all great, to small brands, which I have another one here that I just visited right after I saw you last week, Hudson Whiskey
Yeah,
from New York.
yeah. They're right there in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just right
yeah,
up the road. And I knew these guys right when they started. I was starting
yeah.
too. And they have a lot in it. And y'all, if you haven't had Hudson Whiskey for a while, it's gotten older. I think it's continued to get better and better.
Yeah.
And they had an expression that I had to pick up last week. They had a 7-year-old. So that's what I'm going to pour now.
Wow.
This is a 7-year-old 4-grain. It's called the 4-part harmony, and I tried it at the bar, and I thought it was amazing. So this has some.
Yeah.
That's the thing with these craft distilleries; they have some real age on them now, which is incredible.
Yeah. Oh, because they've been around, so they've been able to actually have some time to actually age some barrels.
That's right. It used to be they released this this whiskey at several years old. It would depend, but this has gotten just the age on this. And I have to say, I mean, I love the bourbons from all over, finished bourbons like the Bacta that we're having, and they have some wonderful cognacs too. But I really do love the New York bourbons and rye, the New York rye. Do you get a lot of people ordering the New York bourbons at your bar? Do you get a lot of them?
Yeah. So we have what
good.
is the one? If it's the not Tom, the Great Jones.
Great Jones is really good, yeah.
So we do have Great Jones. Most of our stuff is supposed to be local stuff. So we try to keep it local.
Keeping it local.
But we don't have any Kings County there. We do have I do believe that we do have the Hudson Valley there.
Right.
So I believe we have some of that there. So we actually have a question for you, Tom, from Kyle.
Okay, I'm so glad. I hope I know. Yeah, the Horse Soldier is really good bourbon. I haven't had it lately. I have met some of the folks from the brand. I know one of their main offices or bar experiences, I believe, is in Tampa, if I'm not mistaken. And I have seen these guys on the road doing their thing at some of the barn smokers, and it's a really good bourbon. I do like the Horse Soldier. It tells a wonderful story. Kyle, have you had it? Tell me and everybody what you think of it, Kyle. Have you had it? Have you had it?
No, actually, no. I've never had it yet. So at my house, I have about 35 different bottles at the house.
You're growing that collection.
Yeah, yes, I am.
You just have do you have a certain one that you've gone to more lately?
So like I said, Penelope is my love. That's one of my favorites. I love Penelope because I feel like that one is really good with an old. I could drink that one straight if I'm going with an old fashioned. I love Buffalo Trace. I think Buffalo Trace makes it great. It's a great to mix with. Monkey Shoulder. So everything I have is pretty much under $50. So I actually picked up a bottle of Maker's 46. A barrel pick.
Those barrel picks are good. The different staves they use, they're very nice. And look, I was thrilled when I made 46. St. Petersburg. Thank you, Kyle. I couldn't remember which one it was. But yeah, whenever 46 came out, we were one of the first to talk about it. I love 46. I think it's really good.
I love the 46. It's for me, it's more of finding a bottle, because the eyes, so unless somebody goes and unless somebody kind of refers something,
right?
I love that campfire from High West. I also
the blend of the Scotch and the
bourbon. But I love Rise, but I love another one of my favorites to go to is Larceny. I love Larceny.
Oh yeah, Larceny is so good, so easy, and that's what I love too. And I mean that's part of why when I first got into bourbon, it's like, why is it getting so big?
Yeah.
Back then, of course, the age statements were a little higher, a little bigger, but it was so easy and still is to find a bourbon that is very, very good and even well aged, like the Knob Creek 9 or the Larceny for for
know
a
what?
good
Knob
value.
Creek is great and it's consistent. You
It
know,
is. It is so
like
consistent.
like my dad, he's a Scotch guy. So, so I try to put him on the bourbons. I try to put him on to bourbons and more whiskeys. And so, like with my stepmom, when she's looking for something, she'll call me. So she'll be in like Total Wine, and she'll go, "All right, what's one should I pick?" And I'm like, "All right, well, what's your price point?
What you
Because
got
price
there in
point."
front of you, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So price because
What
price.
scotch does he like? What does he get into?
He likes Johnny Walker.
Johnny Walker's a good one. I mean, Johnny Walker's really solid. Oh, look,
You know,
okay, so I actually was lucky enough to have a whiskey sour. Last week I went up to Albany Distilling Company as well after we saw.
wow. Okay.
And I tell you, down in Albany, they're making some really good whiskey. I think they've been at it for like 12 years. And I had a whiskey sour. I believe it was with egg white at their bar. And they do, of course, the proper New York sour with the wine float, which I think is just the right way to do it. I mean, I like it that way, but if you want to do it more simple, it's cool too. Do you like it with the wine float?
Yeah. So, I've never had a whiskey sour. I'm an old fashioned guy. I'm an old fashioned or I'm a straight.
And
Like
I
I do
drink
old
whiskey
fashioned or I do
sours very
straight.
often.
Yeah. So Michael, he's in the chat. He can't make it tonight, but Michael is in the chat. So he's saying he's saying hi, Tom.
All right, Michael. It's good to see you, man. Or we'll be good
Yeah.
to see you next time, hopefully. With egg white only way.
Yeah. So Mac has a question. He says, what's your thoughts on Mitchell's?
I like it a lot. I like the Michter's rye. I think it's a really excellent rye. I think that it's one of those that early on I was discovering, and then they were sourcing it. Of course, now they're making their own in Kentucky. I like their unblended American whiskey, and of course, they do a lot of one-offs. The 10-year-old Michter's is a little tougher to find, but always really a treat as well.
So in the secondary market, we have, like everybody talks about what's that damn from the same company that makes Buffalo Trace. They make
Blanton's.
So I can't lie to you. I actually had Blanton for the first time a few months back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, this is kind of overrated. It's kind of overrated.
I think there's a lot to be said for really a balance between is it worth what you're paying? And of course, a lot of us remember when it wasn't that long ago, it used to be $40, $50 a bottle. Yeah. And then it jumped really quickly to almost 100.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a single barrel. So some barrels are going to be, I think, more impressive than others. It can be somewhat consistent on the profile, but it's high in some markets. I mean, it's a really solid, smooth bourbon, but are there others that you might be able to find easier that you might like that might be a little less on the value? Probably so. I think there's a good chance.
So,
but
like
it's worth finding.
Because you have bottles from Weller's, like they always say the purple tops.
Oh yeah. The purple tops are amazing, which are very tough to find there. The Weller 12, really beautiful. Again, has some of those same dynamics. I would say same DNA as Pappy Van Winkle. And then, you may want to also know, everybody watching, there's this collection from Diageo called Orphan Barrel. And the orphan barrels can be a little bit sometimes easier to find, and still very old bourbons, 18, 20-year-old bourbons. You may find them and rise for a little cheaper than you would find Pappy. And while it may not be exactly the same flavor, it's going to be that same profile. If you can just find those older bourbons, those 15, 20-year-old bourbons or American whiskeys, even if it's not Pappy, which we all know is hard to find, it's going to give you that idea of what barrel and time have done.
I think it's so interesting because you brought up a couple of we brought up a few New York distilleries.
Yes. Oh, so many good ones.
That's
They told me last week a couple places. I think there's over, and I could be wrong on the exact number, over 200 licensed distilleries, DSPs in the state of New York now. If you would have
really.
gone back, 10, 15 years ago, well, that number was way less. I don't know how many less, maybe 20. I mean, very few. Of course, I was at Hudson House last week too in West
Yeah.
Park. They're making great bourbons and ryes. But there's so many now, and there's some that are very small, that are just doing very small production, but they're doing great work. Part of it's to me, it's the grain, it's the water. There's more texture, I think, versus some states on the New York grain. I think it's the weather as well. That's really the atmosphere that's giving this real big mouthfeel to a lot of New York bourbons. It's part of why I love bourbon and rye from New York. It's the mouthfeel, it's the grain. There's this thicker element that I believe is all those ingredients, water, time, atmosphere in one. And I love them. I love what they're doing.
One thing I will say too is, at the event on Saturday, we had a company based out of Newburgh.
I saw that. I tried a little of their they had some bottled cocktails. They had some
Yes.
bourbons and ryes. I liked them a lot. I wanted to get a chance to go by. I didn't get. I had to head out.
Oh my God!
Sooner,
You
have
could've
you
went
been
by.
to it? Have you been to the place?
Yeah, well, I haven't been to the place, but I went by and I spoke to him for a few minutes, and he was amazing.
He seemed
You
very
know,
cool,
and
very very knowledgeable.
and his old fashioned mix was amazing. I was like, dude, this is insane.
Those
It was.
cocktails in a bottle are just I thought it was really well done, really well executed.
Yeah, like.
Well, next time
So,
you and I are gonna have to go by and see him.
yeah. Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Purple
So-
Top Willet for 1,000. It probably was. If you saw it, this Tiki's bars and cigars. Does this Tiki bars and cigars? Did they go to Tiki bars? Do they have a Tiki bar? What's the?
No, I think that's just his name.
Okay,
That's
I
his
like
name
it.
on YouTube. Yeah.
I
So
tell you, I like Tiki bars. There used to be a place in, and they've moved. And you may know. Did you ever go to Fuchsia?
no, never.
Fuchsia and New Paltz. I got to know
Ah,
Anton.
okay, yeah.
And
Newport
they
is
closed
about
that
2 hours of
place.
state.
Opened a new one up called Lone Wolf in.
Mm.
Now I can't remember the name of the place. It's up the road
Yeah.
from West Park, but they're still doing some tiki cocktails there. It's really it's called Lone Wolf, and it's very good. It's near Poughkeepsie, near Poughkeepsie. I can't remember the name of the
Okay, yep, yes, up there, yeah.
Learning new here, the egg whites. Yeah, so there's so many cocktails that you can use egg whites in. And what they really like, even like the Ramos Gin Fizz originally had egg whites, and that's the proper way to make it. It gives a more creamy texture, more silky. It's a little tougher to make. Usually they call them flips, but it was a very big thing during Prohibition to use egg whites in cocktails. So you get a little of the egg and a little.
Yeah, well, it's the nutrition.
I hope so. I hope all this is nutritious. I think.
Yeah. So we got another question right here.
I go to bars. I make. Okay, I'm a Don Beach. It's wonderful. Oh, that's so cool. That is so cool. I love tiki bars. Tiki bars have gotten bigger and bigger too. I mean, I'm seeing them all over the place, more and more coming back.
Like, there's a few places that I've been to that just had some amazing like selection for whiskeys and bourbons. Like, there's this one place in New York City called Soho Cigar Lounge.
Oh yeah,
And Soho
is a
has,
cool place.
yes, and it has a massive collection. Like, so have you ever had?
They're really They're a great place. They really are.
Have you ever had the Sinatra edition of the Johnny Walker?
I have. I've had the Sinatra whiskey. It's very good. I like it a lot. Have you? Did you have that?
So I haven't had that one yet, but I did have. So Tom went away for a second. I think maybe he might have got a phone call, because normally, like, if you're on your phone and somebody calls you, that's what happens. So kind of it messes up your signal. But so I haven't had the Sinatra yet, but so okay, so his his phone died. So just give him a second. In the meantime, I can always hold the show down until he comes back. But you know, so it's so interesting just exploring the explore the world of whiskey. Well, you know what? Like, it's so interesting when we talk about the blue. Like, so I had the blue. Like my dad has the blue. He has every single one. So for a birthday present, my sister, she got him the blue, and honestly, like, I was not the biggest fan of the blue. I preferred the black over the blue, the double black over the blue. So you know, I'm just okay. So those were my kind of like go tos when it comes to the scotch. Just hold on 1 second. I think I got a text. All right. Yep. He said he'll be right there. So I'm just texting Tom, letting him know. Oh, there we go. All right. Yeah, the double black is amazing. No, the double black is definitely a go-to. Up here we are. Tom is back.
We had a
There we
little
go.
battery thing that happened.
That's no problem.
Here we are, though. I'm staying energized with the whiskey and cigars. And now
Yeah.
we're
So,
now the Frank Sinatra is great, though. By the way, and you were talking about Soho. That was so funny. Cigar Lounge was one of the last places I visited right before the shutdown happened. I was there.
wow,
I think
really?
the shutdown happened because I had
Wow.
judged a cocktail competition that the bartender at the time, I'm not sure if he's still there, had entered, and I thought he'd made a great cocktail. He put mezcal in it, some orange bitters, some coffee, a coffee syrup. Anyway, it was perfect with the cigar, and I was in there enjoying it. But I love Soho. Do you get to Soho some Cigar Lounge?
So about once a year I get there. One of my boys, Tony, he when he comes down, we normally meet at Soho because it's right by the Soho area, so he can shop there, and
Nice.
so me him and a couple other guys, we meet there. We have a cigar, a few drinks, and the one thing about there is that you're able to find stuff there that you can't find when you go to your Total Wine or
Right.
your local place. But some people have connections to where when their local retailer gets their allocated stuff, they're able to you know to get their hands on it, get the phone call. Hey, I just got this right here, and
I'll tell you,
so
I'll tell you guys. I don't know if Jared Bailey is still there. He was the guy that made this cocktail. But if you go to bourbonblog.com and you just type in Soho and you search it, you'll get this wonderful cocktail recipe, which I think is, again, perfect with the cocktail or a cigar of mezcal, coffee, orange. It's, again, on Bourbon Blog. Look for it. It's a great cocktail.
you know what? Like, honestly, like if you suggest it, then I know for a fact it's good. Because you have to have tried over thousands of different bourbons, whiskeys.
I've had a few. Hopefully, I don't know how many per year, but quite a few bourbons, whiskeys, other spirits, cocktails. I love judging competitions. Of course, I love tasting tastings, just having some fun, pairing them, and always a lot of fun to see when we bring, like we brought a couple weeks ago, bring a whole bunch and to see what people like best. Sometimes I'm never surprised they like one of them, but sometimes I'm always, let's see what gets lowest first, in the bottle.
Yeah. Like I also wonder, like, so because when you're judging competitions, it has to be hard to keep your palate clean to be able to go and actually taste that other that other whiskey without getting any remnants of it on there.
It is. I mean, we have a lot of. We try to really pace it and only do so many percent. Usually, we typically don't do more than 6 or 7 per each round. And while that sounds like a lot, we're not going to do many of each. I mean, I think that water cracker, something a very simple cracker, is a really good way to keep it cleanse in between. Also, sometimes I use some bubbly water, some sparkling water, because the fizz will actually lift the notes off. Because there can be the palate fatigue, but I think it's just all about pacing and usually when I'm hosting a tasting event, I typically don't bring more than like 5 or 6, maybe 7, so that we can really compare, contrast the notes. And that's what I recommend people do at home. Just get several, 3, 4, have your spouse, your friend, whoever, pour some out for you, and really go back and forth 2 different glasses, nosing.
Interesting.
Hit the like for Hollywood.
Yeah, well, because Sanj calls me Hollywood Sanj.
Hollywood Sanj. All right, I like. Yeah, we'll definitely hit the like.
Yeah. So Jamil has a question. You actually met Jamil was at the event on Saturday with us.
All right, good to see you again.
Yeah. So his question is, what are some good scotches, some single malts and scotches that won't break the bank?
Good question. As far as blended, I mean, you can really, I think, find some scotches that have some good notes, complex, that, I've always liked, mixed cocktails with, or just to have on hand, some famous grouse or black grouse. I think it's a really good blend of different scotches. And again, that's a blended scotch. As far as a single malt, all from one distillery, a lot of people, and I am too, are fans of Macallan. I do like, Macallan 10 or 12. I am also a big fan of the Dalmore, and even like the Dalmore 10, 12. It's the Dalmore 12, I believe, is a little under 100. I think it's the Dalmore is a lot of great espresso notes, a lot of great orange peel, chocolate notes. But I think it's all about what you like. Do you like a space side, something a little sweeter that has some of that sherry cask finish, or do you want something more peaty, or do you want to blend in between? I mean, a lot of people also go outside the realm of Scotland and go into a lot of Japanese whiskeys, which have some of those same characteristics.
It's so interesting that that's still about the cherry cask. Man, like Noble Oak makes. Oh my gosh, love Noble Oak. Noble Oak makes an amazing.
Noble Oak is beautiful.
Yeah.
It really is. And what they have done as far as their product lineup with the advanced maturation, with the sherry cask finish, is just beautiful. And I think, again, that's another one that, for the price point, is just something that's spectacular. I'm a big fan of Noble Oak. And I think they've even had some new releases since the last time I tried it. They've done
really? I gotta go take a look for those. Like, I find this so interesting because you brought one that was casted in like beer.
Yes, I did. Thanks for reminding me. The Bardstown Bourbon Company, it was a bourbon barrel stout. So what happens is the Grey Goose, not Grey Goose. Sorry, I said Grey Goose. Goose Island. There's all these different geese in the world of booze. Goose Island is a brewing company from Chicago, makes every year, and they release a limited batch of the Bourbon County Stout, and that is a beer aged in used bourbon barrels. So once that's done, aging beer, they bring it back to Kentucky, to Bardstown, and they age some fairly old bourbon, 7 to 9 year old bourbon, in them, and so you get a little element of the beer on there. And I think it's a nice pop of the beer. It has this wonderful brown sugar notes. And I thought it was really good with a cigar.
You know what? It was so like it was so interesting because some of them just really just jump out with flavor. And it just really just pops you right in the mouth.
Indeed. And what
You
they're
know, like
doing is, I think, so spectacular. It really is.
and so that almanac messed it up for a lot of other whiskeys you had there.
It was
It
very
really,
special. It was a 1973 Armagnac, also by Bacta. He basically a couple years ago, Raj Bacta, and I just saw him a few days ago, was
Yeah.
able to source some of the very oldest supply of Armagnac in the world. I mean, this is all from France, of course, but
Yeah.
now it's there in Vermont. It's BactaSpirits.com is the place to go. But for those that like bourbon, finished in Armagnac casks. I mean, this 2014 release, it's released this year. It's about a 9 to 10-year-old bourbon. It spent a good amount of time in those used 1973. So think about older than us, right? A lot of us watching, and you and I. Used barrels. The Armagnac had been almost 50 some years aging. It's dumped, and they put the bourbon right into it, and I tell you, this, as I'm sipping this is picking up so many notes of the Armagnac. It's the raisin, it's that refined sugar in the barrel. It's a great spot.
And it kind of, I can't lie, like, because I really love that, and every time I talk to you, I always talk about that Kings County, the mix, the mix blend, the blue bottle, and it kind of messed up my experience with that, because I was like, to go from that to that, you're like, oh man.
Well, I try to bring all kind of different worlds. I mean, I love whiskeys, and and there's so much love for whiskey that we all have, but there's a lot out there, and I think that we're as bourbon drinkers and lovers, we're always trying to find what's something else that's an aged spirit. Wonderful tequilas and rums, and just really diving into where those flavors can take us, and when we can try them side by side, it's a real joy just to have those. But I agree, the blended Kings County is really putting their latest and greatest in each batch. Some of their American malt, it's a little bit of UK malt as well, bourbon, rye, all in that blend. I like, it's that blue label.
So one thing that was super interesting, like, so I've had basil hazen.
Yes. And, basil's beautiful.
I had that in the toasted, but it didn't have that, like, because it's so, I like to say, it's always something for everyone, and that one right there, because it didn't have that same.
Okay. So that one's gotten, so the regular basil releases, their rye, their bourbon, I do like those, and of course the original basil was in the original collection of the small batch Jim Beam releases, but they have done a lot of other releases, and most people do agree the toasted is a bit different, and just it's not, it usually doesn't hit quite the right place for a lot of people, and I've had it only a couple times, and it's a little out there.
So basil hazing is under the Jim Beam umbrella.
Jim Beam, right? The original basil, and really, I think still their original basil bourbon is between, and I could be wrong because sometimes they do, change the age statement a little bit, or they don't have an exact age statement, but it's between like a 5 to 8 year old bourbon usually, just the original one, and it's good. It's very solid, very light. Tiki Bars is saying that he had a blend that had a bright, sweet citrus. I mean, I could see that, and that's the thing with blends is it's all single barrel, so every barrel's a little different, and some barrels are probably going to be more suited to your palate than others. But there's a beauty behind single barrels too.
They say that, like, especially like when it came to the Russells 10-year, they say that if you could find it from a certain place, that's the best one to get. And I think it was like Lot E, something like that. It's like, if you could find that one, that's the 10-year, the 10 years Russell that you want to get.
It can be. I mean, there's places in the warehouse. Some people really like it from a little more further up in the warehouse, and different warehouses as well. I mean, even if we're standing out, I'm on the border of Kentucky right now. So if there were And there's warehouses probably not too far away from me. I mean, maybe the closest bourbon warehouse might be an hour or less. But you would take a look, and even on one hill, it could really vary just the way the wind is hitting it or the weather that season. One warehouse versus another, or one barrel versus another.
You know, one thing I found very interesting was the Jefferson's Oceans. And we spoke about that last time.
Yeah.
And just how they let that one sit in the ocean, in the Hudson.
Yeah, well, and so here's one. They've done a couple different projects. They've done a number of just letting it be on the ocean. It's rocking back and forth. It's seeing that barrel more often. And then last year they did one that was a New York edition that they had proofed down the actual bottle of ocean with water from the Hudson River, and I love that. I mean, the complexities of the water, as you know, with the minerality, are just so powerful in New York. Yeah. So if you can still find a bottle of the New York edition of Ocean, it is one of my very favorite oceans ever.
Wow. Yeah, like how do you feel about Woodford Reserve?
Hey, I love Woodford Reserve. I know it's one of those we see a lot of places, but it's the profile, the sweetness, the complexity. It is something that is just a lot of sweet caramel corn. It's very approachable. Yeah. Works incredible in a Manhattan on an old fashioned, and probably one of the most distinct notes that you'll ever you'll get on a bourbon that you can always go back to and say, I know this is Woodford. I mean, as far as bigger brands, it's one of my favorites. Do you drink some too? Do you like the Woodford?
Yes, you know what? I've had that. I like Woodford. I've had the double oak.
The double oak's very good.
Yeah, I had the double oak, which was very, very good. You know, also I just the another one that even the original Woodford. So in Grand Central Station, they have their own special. They have their own little kiosk there in Grand Central.
Oh, do they? They have their own.
Yeah,
make sure you get a sip before you head out on your trip.
Yeah, yeah. Like and so at one time, I think for like a week, they made a special Grand Central Woodford Reserve.
That's good. How was it? Did you try it?
No, what? So I wasn't able to get there and get a bottle. From what I hear, people were down there just like savages, just
they were
grabbing, just grabbing 3-4 bottles at a time. So
I've been in there when they've had a number of activations during the holidays. I got tasted on things, but is it permanent there in Grand Central? I'm not sure if I knew that.
Yeah. So the latest one that I've seen is that they have the Kentucky Derby's coming up.
It is. We'll be there for a lot of the Derby events next week.
Yeah. So right now they have their Kentucky Derby whiskey there, with the guy riding the horse. So I thought but so now is that one a different blend or is the same blend?
No, it's the same. It's the special artist release, which they do every year, and it's always great to get a bottle of that because they are limited. I don't know how limited the runs are. I was at Churchill Downs. I think it was a month and a half ago when the artist was talking about what he had done with the bottle, and it's a beautiful bottle, and it just helps everybody get in the Derby spirit. Of course, next week is the 150th running of the Run for the Roses, the Run for the Roses. In other words, Kentucky Derby. It's the 150th Derby. So at the Derby, who's going to be there with this year? Say that again.
At the Derby, who are you going to be partnering with this year?
Well, I will be. So next week, I will actually be doing an event leading up to the Derby next Wednesday night at a place called Bourbon's Bistro. We do a Derby Sips and Soiree. And we usually feature several different whiskeys and cigars. We're going to have several Cohiba cigars there this year. And if anybody watching is going to be there, visit Bourbon Blog. It's Bourbon's Bistro. It's a very special place to many of us in the bourbon world in Louisville. It's been there for many years, and they have an incredible bourbon bar. So it's always a pleasure. It's my second year in a row to do that. And there'll be a number of other events later that week.
So, yes, uh, thank you, Hugo. Yeah, I finally got the 300 subs. So tell a friend to tell a friend. Now the goal
Did
is to
we
get to
get did we get
500.
a number? Did we get more people subscribing just now?
No, so I hit 300 earlier, but you know,
I love that. I love that. I like it when it
yeah,
happens, like when landmark
yeah,
or when milestones happen in real time.
exactly,
Makes
yeah.
me want to just pour something else.
There you go. So, how much do you have? How much do you have in your personal collection, Tom?
Well, it just within arm's reach right here, just two bottles and a few cigars. I don't know. It's a several hundred. I don't exactly know how many. I
Mm.
truthfully don't. It's hundreds. It's hundreds. And then some will disappear and
Mm-hmm.
and be consumed. Obviously, there's some that I hang on to for special occasions, but it's
Yeah,
several hundred easily.
man.
So you're
Yeah,
gonna have to come see me.
I know, I know. I gotta fly out there. And then on top of that, you're right there next to Kentucky, so we go right from
We'd have
there.
a lot of fun. I'd love to show you around.
Yeah, you know, that's one thing that I would love to do is a tour of a distillery.
Oh yeah, have you
So
have you been to any or
no, so I was like I said, I was very close to get
very
to
close?
getting
Right,
a very close to getting into Penelope because they don't do tours.
right. Well, they probably like to have you, and I would imagine.
Uh-huh.
And of course, I mean, from what I hear, they recently were
Yeah, they
sold.
sold. Yeah.
Yeah,
I have
pretty
to get
amazing.
down to Fearless because I know
I would love to
Fearless
show
is
you
based
Peerless.
they're based in Jersey too, right?
Peerless, they have a lot of distribution there. They're actually in Louisville, and they're big fans of cigars, so they would definitely
Oh,
love to meet
that
you.
would be amazing. Yeah,
They would love to meet you.
yeah, like Peerless, like because I seen you had a couple bottles of Peerless there
We
that
had some
were
double oaked. We had some
yeah,
single barrel, I believe. We had several.
yeah, like the double oak was amazing.
So deep, tastes so old, and just
Yeah,
so layered.
you know, I am such a fan of like so for me, I love like the cedar note in my when it comes to my bourbon, I
Yeah.
really love like the cedar note. Well, the cedar and also that cherry note that you get from
Oh, for those deeper age, like that cherry,
yeah,
like pipe tobacco almost.
yeah,
You get those on the Peerless. On that double oaked, it ends up tasting to me like it's 12, 15 years plus old. Um, there's so many good ones. And that's part of
so
the whole journey that I've enjoyed all these years is
so my
trying.
so my
I'm not
question
going to say all of them, but a lot of them.
so my question to you is like so do you feel like sometimes the age these some age ones are overrated by any chance or it's just like some of them you're like, well, this one was 20-year age, but you're like, nah, the 10 is definitely the best.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. There was one I had a few years ago, to go unnamed, that was a limited run, a very very old bourbon that was extremely expensive, and I actually
Yeah,
thought it was 20 years plus. I thought it had fallen a little flat because sometimes really old bourbon, because it's been what I call swimming in and out of the barrel, it's been expanding. You've
yeah,
seen that wood so much. I'm not saying all 20 plus year old bourbon does this, but it can really it can go a little flat and it can be more nuanced, just like a wine would be or anything
yes,
else.
mm-hmm,
But it's all personal preference. I mean, there's some
yeah,
people that love a 6-year old bourbon. There's some people that love more of a 10, 15. I mean, for
yeah,
me, I think it's just all about the distillery, but I think 10 plus can really work. But I think there's some 8-year old. I mean, this Hudson whiskey at
7 year,
7,
yeah,
really good at 7. And even their original bourbons, now I believe most of them are at least 5 to 7,
yeah,
but this
yeah,
is at
like
least 7 in the barrel.
like it was just in my head and it just slipped out of my head, but because it
What
was
whiskey
one
will
that
do to us.
yeah, you know
That's okay though. That's why we love it.
it, oh man, because there's a liquor store right by one of the train stations and they have a lot of aged and like short run stuff, and it wasn't that high priced. um, like they had the Hudson, and they had, so I had this Jubilee. It was a mint. It was a mint bottle. I forgot what company it was, but it was a mint based.
Was it a pre-bottled like mint julep?
Yes, that was the one.
So it could have been the Old Forester mint julep in a bottle.
That's what it was. It was the Forsters. Yep.
Yeah, pretty
Forster,
good. Pretty good. And so here's an interesting
it was
story.
so interesting.
The longest time at Kentucky Derby, and I say the longest time, I think up till about 8 or 9 years ago, roughly, the early times, it was the early times, that was the pre-bottled mint julep that was on tap that they would be serving. And I tell you, most people really thought it was just too much sugar.
Yeah.
And not knocking early times, but it's, it's not highest level. In fact, early times used to be more of just a whiskey, not a bourbon. So at some point, again, it's owned by the same company that it's Brown-Forman that sponsors Derby. And like I said, nothing wrong with early times, but they said, let's do a higher quality.
Yeah.
So they started doing the Old Forester mint julep pre-bottle.
Yeah.
And it's much better. I do like the Old Forester mint julep. And I like a fresh made mint julep. I mean, it's muddled mint, some sugar, packet full of ice, some good bourbon. And sometimes some people will put a little powdered sugar on top. You can do a lot of different ways to do it, but bitters, you can do a little bitters on top.
It's very interesting because, like I know, like one company that like a few guys like here is Uncle Nearest.
I love Uncle Nearest.
Yeah.
Amazing story, wonderful Tennessee whiskey. It is such a good rye as well as whiskey. Great in a cocktail, great by itself. I know they're doing a lot of other expressions now. They're doing wonderful work.
It's fun because like I feel like I'm becoming so much more of a rye guy.
Oh, I love rye. I love rye whiskey.
I'm trying to think of the rye. So the first rye that I really got into was the Knob Creek rye.
Knob Creek rye is so good. And, here's the beautiful thing. If some people are on the border and they're like, I haven't had a rye for a while, ryes that some people may have had 10, 15 years ago aren't quite, the same because the high quality ryes, I think, have just been really introduced the last decade or so. Whistle Pig, of course.
I was gonna bring up Whistle Pig because I know you're very close to the owner of a Whistle Pig, and I recently I was gonna buy it. I'm going back and forth. I'm like, should I get the Whistle Pig 6-year or should I get this? And I'm there and I'm going back and forth, and then I'm like, you know what? I ended up picking up the Maker's 46, and when I told my guys, everybody goes, man, you should have really went and got that the Whistle Pig.
You got the 6-year-old Whistle Pig piggyback rye is really solid. The 10-year goes a little further on the depth. We actually, my wife and I went to Whistle Pig last week too. The 12-year-old is beautiful because it's finished in Sauterne port and Madeira barrels. And then you have the 15. Those are really the main 4 that are in their main SKU. The 15 has so much power and age for it's $2.50 a bottle, but really well worth it. I see Cigar Collective enjoys it too.
Yeah, no, so Peter has a massive collection. He is you'll see him and he'll post a picture and he goes up. My guy called me. He said he got something. So he ends up getting stuff that you're like, they make that. So he has a lot of rare stuff. Rare stuff.
No, I'd love it. I'd love to connect with Peter and all these great folks. I mean,
what? I was out Peter's a little busy. Peter's a little busy tonight. So
is he?
So yeah. So what happened was once Michael said that he he got tied up with work. Once Michael got tied up with work, I was like, all right, who else do I know that has a massive collection. So the first person I hit up was Peter. I was like, oh my god, if I can get Peter on, because he's busy weekends. I was like, all right, if I could get Peter, that would be amazing. And but he's a little busy tonight, so it's next time for sure.
Hey, I'm always around. I'm always
Yeah.
join you and hang with good people.
Yeah.
Enzo.
Enzo
Lorenzo.
Yeah.
I like the way that sounds. I like how it rolls off the tongue. He likes the Bullet.
You know what? Bullet is, when I first started getting into whiskey. Whiskey bourbons, like Bullet was like my go-to.
Right.
Bullet was definitely.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Bullet bourbon is so solid. The rye is 95 rye, 5% barley. It's so good. Actually, my wife, how I met my wife is she approached me in a bar and bought me a Bullet. So it holds a special.
Wow. That's amazing. That's a really great story. See, we got Peter in trouble.
Oh, that's right. Bullet has a new single malt too. They have a new American single malt that's delicious. It's malted barley. You may see it out there. It's maybe a little tougher to find than their bourbon and rye, but look for it's a gray label Bullet single malt.
So I was gonna once he brought it up. So I actually had some Sazerac the other day, because one member here, he went to a Arturo Fuente event. And
very nice.
And he was saying that, he was saying that, that Fuente says that Sazerac goes great with cigars.
Oh, it does.
And come to find out, it actually is. It actually really, really goes together type well.
Finding that Sazerac rye, though, I mean, it all depends on where you are. Because I have friends in Canada that say they can find Sazerac rye really easy. Sometimes here it's pretty easy, sometimes it's not. But it's one of those that you can see it for about 40 or 50 a bottle, that it can be twice that. It just depends.
Wow.
It varies. And I do like the Sazerac rye a lot. I do have some in my bar. I like it. It works great in a cocktail, but just that nice. It has that fresh zestiness that a rye should have along with the barrel. It's a really well-balanced rye.
So, one guy here, he brought by my boy Block.
Yes.
He brought by now when he comes up to Jersey, he brings some hitters. So last time he came, he brought some Starlight. He brought their cigar blend.
Oh, the Starlight. Yeah.
Yeah, so he brought Starlight, he brought their cigar blend. And then he bought their honey.
Oh wow! Okay.
The honey. Let me tell you this.
Both really good.
The honey is trouble. That's one of those. That's one that you could drink and not notice it, and you're like, next thing you know, you get up and you're like, "Where am I at? What's going on? How come my legs don't work?"
No, it's good. It's really good. No, those Starlight Distilling, not too far from me. They're doing great work. They really are.
Like that's
and a lot of good experiments too.
That's the thing too, is that these guys, they're now experimenting with stuff, because everybody is like, all right, how do we find the next thing that separates us from everybody else?
Right.
So it's like, okay, like, yeah.
Well, I think that you have to keep searching.
Yeah.
And just go to events like the one that we did. In the Cigar BQ.
Yeah.
Go great places like Bourbon Blog and a lot of the other great websites that talk about it. Follow me on social. I'll always try to tell you.
Oh yeah.
But also try
follow him at the Bourbon Blog.
Yeah, try several, side by side. Because if you can really do these whiskey flights, you go to more restaurants and bars, you can do a flight and say what may win out in one flight of 5 or 4, just like you do a beer flight, might not be what would win out at another flight. So really keep those notes, take those notes. There's some wonderful apps where you can record your notes and see what continues to become your favorite and try it against new ones. I love finishes. That's partly why I like bourbons that are well-aged, but partly why I really like the Armagnac finish, because we're using a lot of barrels that are, true time-tested barrels from old world port and Madeira, and just see how those awaken bourbon. Bourbon and rye are both just really great palates for beer barrels, Armagnac,
Yeah.
all time. Even Cabernet Sauvignon. What I brought you all at Sanja's, the Savage and Cook, done
Yes.
in Grenache barrels from France.
Wow. So what other places in the world have you traveled to and like have been to like the distilleries? As far as, have you been to like the Hennessy distillery? Have you been to,
Yes.
what's another
I
big
have
one
been
overseas?
lucky enough to go to Hennessy, Courvoisier. I did a trip many years
Wow.
ago with,
Yeah.
I think, Cognac. I've done Calvados in France, done some Scotch distilleries, just really all over, and just seeing
So,
what different countries do.
I
And
don't
I like it.
I don't explore a lot into cognac,
I do like Cognac.
but yeah, like I did try. So Shannon Sharp has um his own cognac called Le Portier,
Okay.
and I was so surprised. So when it first came out, you can get a bottle for around $60 when it first came out. Now the price point is around 100, 120.
Wow. It's
Yeah,
just
well,
grown so much.
well,
Oh,
it grows. Well, it grows so much, and then his name itself has grown so much. Like last night, at my job, the people that were hosting, that had the event, they were having the Michael Jordan tequila, which is actually very hard to find.
and I don't think have I tried it? I don't think I have. I've heard about it. How was
Yeah.
it? Try it?
No, I was at work. I couldn't. Like, I wanted to take the bottle and keep it for myself. Just to have the bottle of it.
But they were having a little of it.
Yeah, so like they were having it at the event, and I was just like, man, first of all, where'd they find it? So I'm like, one of these guys has to be connected.
Well, tequila and mezcal, of course, have
Yeah,
grown so much. There's so many good new ones.
yeah. Well, I feel like it's changed so much as far as a lot of celebrities are trying to get into the liquor industry.
Yeah, I think they made us like it so much they want their own stash, but I think they know
Yeah,
that they can put their name on something good, or really, I think more and more it used to be like, what can I put my name on? But I think more and
yeah.
more they're trying to put their own spin on it to really give you something that is really good, if not amazing. I've seen the celebrity brands, I think, get better and better.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm trying to think of it's a rock band. Our singer has his own
Did they do one?
whiskey. Yeah, and
It's
it's
possible. I'm not even sure if I've tried it.
yeah, but it's a skull. It's like a skull with like horns and all that kind of stuff. So no,
I don't think
I
I've
found
had
it.
it, but it sounds really good. I like the Blacken that the Metallica
Yeah,
guys do. The Blacken's really good.
like have you so like Texas has humongous bourbon and whiskey culture down there in Texas.
Yes.
So like, do you feel like Texas is kind of stepping on the hills of Kentucky?
No, I think that everybody is everybody's working together to put something wonderful out there. I believe that everybody has appreciation, always will have appreciation for Kentucky bourbon, and part of it just goes back, like we talked about with Hudson, the grains, the water, the atmosphere, and really the hand of the distiller. How are they trying to make it different? When you think about it, if it's bourbon, you can only do so many things. It has to be 51% corn, aged in a new charred oak barrel.
Yep.
And then it has to be aged for usually several years. It doesn't have to be that many years. But when it comes to the other grains, the other parts of the recipe, you can put all kinds of grains in there, but it's all the same ingredients. It's how do you age it? Where do you age it? when do you call it done? Maybe what do you
Yeah.
finish it in?
So
And I like a lot of Texas bourbons. I mean, I think what Garrison's done for many years is great. Treaty Oak doing amazing work too. There's some really small ones in Texas too I've loved.
you know, like you know, so I was on TikTok and I seen these guys just take like 4 or 5 bottles of anything and they put it into a barrel. And I'm like,
Just
that
like
sounds
they were
like,
just putting it into a small barrel, you mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like,
They'll
that
do
sounds
that. Like make their own blend, right?
yeah. I feel like that's death in a barrel. 'Cause because
Depending on who's blending it, it may be.
well,
You can buy these small barrels and do that and try it, and
you
it
know,
just kind of makes you feel like you own something, like you've put together your own blend, I guess.
yeah, like
Hey,
there you go, Tom.
that's nice. Tiki Bar's. What's Tiki Bar's name?
Mac.
It means a lot, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, so
And
Keith is,
Inno too. Inno has such great vibes. I always enjoy Inno so much.
well, like the key is, man, it's you're having a conversation with a friend, so so like, but the best part about it is that I get to pick your brain because you've been in this industry for so long.
I'm
It's
glad.
like it's like sitting down talking to signs. Like you've forgotten more than I would probably ever learn about whiskey and bourbon in itself, because you've been doing it since the early 2000s, so you can only
Wow.
imagine the stuff that has come and go.
Well, it means a lot, man. It's always a pleasure, and just to have my brain picked. And I may have forgotten some, hopefully not. I think part of it is continuing to go back to favorites and then finding
Yeah,
new favorites.
yeah,
And then at some point, just being reminded of those that I haven't tried for a while.
yeah,
Most of these small craft brands, except for a few, have kept going. I mean, the cool thing is there's only been, and there may be a few that I don't know about, but there's only been a few that have like gone out of business. And that means a lot too, to see these distilleries start years ago and continue to go on and make better
yeah.
and better stuff,
It's the one thing that especially like when I talk to you and I actually get like some of your individual time, and you go smell it, swirl it
Oh yeah, you gotta
around,
smell it. That's
you
right.
know, just
Smell
like
it.
get those flavor notes of it.
Just like, just nose it and really
Mm-hmm.
see what are you getting, and have a sip of the whiskey, get it on the palate, then go back to the cigar, see what's happening. Like I said, I think the SP 1014 Black and the Red too, and a lot of the others,
Mm-hmm.
just do some really beautiful work with the whiskey. And as Sanj was mentioning, that is it the wrapper? The wrapper's done in bourbon barrels.
Yep, it's a barrel aged wrapper.
So good. And it just, I do get just a touch of that wood is on there, and that cedar and those notes. Which of Sanj's is it more situational for you? Which of Sanj's do you like best?
I'm the red. I like
The red?
The red Toro is my go-to. I can do the
I
red
like the
Toro.
red a lot too.
Yeah, so the red Toro is not red Toro, red Robusto is, because it for me it gets right to the point.
Right.
Like
it's a little bigger, isn't it, than the black? Is the red a little bigger?
No. The black is bigger than the red.
You think the black's bigger? Okay.
Yeah, so the black is bigger than the red.
It may be the way the notes hit me sometimes too.
Yeah.
When I'm sipping. And those Lanceros we had last week were
are amazing, especially the Cameroon. The Cameroon is it's off the chain.
I was having a hard time, I want to try them all. I was enjoying it so much.
Because for me, I feel like, and this is just my opinion, and Son he could beat me up tomorrow for it, but I feel like when I smoke the Toro, I have to wait for the first third to be gone, and then I get that punch. When I smoke the Robusto, I'm getting that punch right away.
Yeah, no, you get that. Oh, you get the punch more up front, like right away.
Yeah, that flavor that I like right away from the red Robusto. Because the best thing that I learned from Sanj is he goes, if you smoke all 3 cigars the Toro, the Robusto. All right, Ed, have a good one. If you in the Lancer, if you smoke all three of those at the same time, it's three different cigars.
It really is. No, it is. If you can go back and forth, it really is.
Yeah,
good.
if you can go back and forth, you're gonna get three different cigars. And I thought that so interesting. I haven't tried, and the thing too is that I haven't tried it yet, and I want to. And it's probably gonna be one of those days when nobody's here and it's just me and Sanj, and because that's one of those things that you really want to have, Sanj's attention when you sit there and then he's able to explain to you, what you should be
Just what
getting
it
out of
is.
all
Yeah.
three. Yeah.
Yeah.
And those and for me, those are kind of like my favorite times because he's able to really go into,
To
you
really
know,
go with
yeah, and his mindset, what he's looking for, and the blending process.
just like we do with whiskeys, but I think with cigars,
Yes.
you have to take your time more because you got more that how they burn. And
Yeah.
like as this has really evolved, I've gotten more and more, different notes towards the middle, a little bit more meaty towards the middle, and really beautiful.
The one thing that I find so amazing when it comes to whiskey, the YouTube channels, the reviewers, and they would go up and they would do these blind taste tests.
They'll do them blind. Yeah. Okay. They'll actually,
Yeah.
they will. Because you can do that with cigars too. But I think it can be exciting to do it blindly. That's the real test of what do you like and what are you tasting.
Yeah.
I like doing blind. I think it's
Yeah.
fun. I don't do them near enough, but when I'm doing competitions, I do them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's what I was so amazed when Michael said that the Douce, the higher class one, which is around $200, that one right there won Spirit of the Year.
Ooh, yeah. The
And
Douces are really good. I don't know if
I was
had
very
that
surprised.
particular Douce, but
Yeah, it was. You know what? But the thing is that most people think of it as a urban drink because of the fact that Jay-Z owns it,
right.
or he has his face on it, So it was actually very surprising to hear that.
Right.
No, they're actually making really good stuff there.
They are, and I've had a number of them, and I like the Douce a lot. I don't know the one that's the biggest one. It's probably a lot older, the real expensive one.
Yeah, it's around $200. Yeah, it's around $200. So the double barrel rye Peterson is his go-to now.
Oh yeah, the double barrels are great. I love the Jack Daniel's rye. Jack Daniel's and the single barrels. Jack has really released some solid products. Everything they've done, really, everything.
Yeah, like it's really in Four Roses.
I love Four Roses single barrel. The single barrel and also I'm a big fan too, Keith, of the small batch select. I love the small batch. The small batch select is a little bit more nuanced and a little older. But really, if I was, the single barrel is probably what I would pair with the cigar, or even the original small batch. The spice is really there. Just sipping by itself, the small batch select is really nuanced, 102 proof, and really beautiful. And of course, the limited edition Four Roses are good when you can get them. They're just not easy.
That's the main thing, is just getting them when you can get them.
Getting them used to be a lot easier.
And the Buffalo Trace is always a go-to. Always a go-to.
Love Buffalo Trace. And just like I was saying with the Sazerac rice, some areas of the country you can find the Buffalo Trace easier than others. Can you find it there? New York?
Yeah. You know what? I have surprisingly, I have no problem finding Buffalo. In the Sazerac, I've seen it a few times. I just haven't picked it up.
Right.
But I have no problem finding those bottles, which is actually pretty good.
Where do you go to find your bottles? Is there a special place?
Right up the block.
Right down the block.
Right down the block. There's a store right down the block, and most of the time they don't have a humongous selection, but the stuff that they do have is actually really, really good. And sometimes I go up in there and I'm like, okay, well, what didn't I buy? Because anytime I go for whiskey, it's like, okay, what don't I have? Because I don't ever want to go
one you don't have.
Exactly. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I've had like I got these at the house, so why am I going to buy it again if I have it at the house?
Right.
I might as well get something that I don't have at the house. So this way, if we don't finish it at the shop today, we'll just go. I'll just bring it home and I'll just add it to the collection.
Sometimes you finish it though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you know what? Like the one thing is, like, if I have a bottle and I'm here, it's not just for me; it's for everybody.
Yeah. Oh, that's the beautiful part. Everybody gets to try it, talk about it.
Exactly. You know, like, oh, well, what are you tasting? You know, because it's a great conversation starter. You know, and it's also too it's very generous. It's something of being generous. Just like, okay, well, you know what, like he doesn't care. You know, because you know certain people here are are Scotch drinkers. Some people here are are cognac drinkers. And every now and again, it's like you know what, like, all right, no, normally I don't drink this, but I'm like, yo, just give it a try. Tell me what you think. Tell me what notes are you getting? Because some people,
what's working,
some people here would actually sit there and take their time and say, you know what, I'm getting this, or they'll go, this is not bad, this is pretty smooth. And then some people are like, no, I'm not really into the note kind of thing. I like what I like. The flavors that I get from this, it's smooth enough for me that I can go to this.
No, and I loved bringing in a couple last week or a week and a half ago, and it was fun to pass the bottle around and get impressions of what people liked.
That's the biggest thing is always finding what people like, and and that's the best thing of it. It's like, man, I've never had this, but I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Without a doubt. And has there been a one that people have found lately that you think they really stumbled on something amazing that you all did with cigars?
Man, so the last thing I brought that everybody loved was the Architect from Penelope.
Oh yeah, that Architect is so good.
Everybody was like, wow, and they couldn't believe the proof on it. They were like,
really
what?
Amazed.
They were like, this is what? I'm like, yeah, this, because the proof on that, I believe it's a 121.
But it drinks lower, doesn't it?
Yeah, yep. But I also like their 9-year cash strength.
The Penelope is really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Hudson Do the Rye Thing. I like the rye. I think that Hudson Rye, and they call it now Do the Rye Thing, which is they did a rebranding a few years ago, and I like it.
Nice.
I think the rye is beautiful. Hudson Rye is really a good rye. And the Short Stack, which has a story about the finish in some maple syrup barrels. Really
wow.
Too.
That sounds like trouble.
And if you haven't been to Gardner for the experience, it's changed the last year or so. They've moved the tasting room down the hill to what is an old grist mill from the late 1700s. So
wow.
It is, and when I was there, I saw a cat. It's a distillery cat, a real cat.
Yeah.
That weighs nearly 30 pounds, and it's like 15. They think it's like 15 to 17 years old. Really well fed cat. You can pick this cat up. It's a sweetheart. It's a real good experience.
But you know what the funny thing about it is, like, well, you can see, you're like, yeah, he's fed very, 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 very well.
Oh, he's well fed. They said for a while it was 40 pounds. They had to get his weight down. This cat is a monster. He's something else.
Yeah,
his name is Bourbon. There's a Bourbon and Rye. I think there's one named Bourbon and one named Rye.
That's
but Bourbon's
awesome.
The biggest one.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a fun.
I had a friend. Her cat name is Nike, after the sneakers.
Okay.
And Nike was the biggest cat I ever seen, and he was agile as, like, Nike was around like 27 pounds. And I always say, I'm like, Dana, you have a dog. That's not a cat. That's a dog. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's a cat in a dog's body.
It was just fun to see this cat moving in and out of the tasting room, and it just
and
I've been going there since I was almost started.
The best thing about that is that every now and again, the cat gets a little taste for himself, and he's like, okay, I'm good. I'm good. I'm chilling.
Next year, we'll have to. When I'm there next year, we'll have to take a little time, and go to a few distilleries after the event, maybe the next day. have some tastings, go some of these
I would love that.
We'll do it. We'll spend a day. We'll do some, or the day before, we'll do some tastings. I think it'd be amazing to do with you and to show you around that area.
Yeah, like Texas. Thank you, brother. Hey, Texas. So, what do you drink? What are you drinking down there in Texas? Texas. He's down in South Texas, I believe. I think he's down in the San Antonio area. You know, so like I would that's one thing that I really want my channel to really go into, is actually going into the distilleries and sitting down and having these interviews there on site at the distilleries, you know, to go around and really, you know, get these people like a different look inside. Yeah.
No, I think it'd be great. No, and have some of the people, and I know people are watching from everywhere. Have some of the folks watching, you think, been to Sanja's? Have they been there?
A lot of them haven't. A lot of them are from all over. Like one guy, Mike. He just joined. He's from Minnesota.
Okay, cool. Oh, I'm so glad.
So like
everywhere.
Are there a lot of distilleries in Minnesota?
There, you know, I know there are some. I'm not intimately familiar, but hopefully the friend watching can tell us. I did have some source bourbon from Minnesota not long ago, and I thought it was very good. I'm sure there are some. Tell us, because I'd love to know.
So you know,
sipping some Jim Beam.
But Cal, I wasn't here, Cal. Like, listen, during the week you have to be here after 4:00, like, because I actually have a job, you know. So, like, if you come to Sanja's, you have to come after 4. You know, like, you got to be here around like 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Got to wait around for
yeah. You know, that's when I'm here. Yeah. You did
waiting around. There's plenty to do. There's plenty to smoke. Somebody like me to even show up every once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And there's plenty of food. I was able to go across the street and get some pasta.
Oh yeah.
Located. I mean, there's so many good things around there.
There really is. But when it, like, the bourbon experience is really like just so, like, there's so many. It's like cigars. It's like, there's so many that you can never. The search never stops.
So many. There's so many. And we're gonna keep trying them. And any let's see what Texas is saying. Let me dabble. Knob Creek. Oh, Devil's River. Yeah, Devil's River's really good too. Dave Batista. Yes, Devil's River's really nice. Wow. And again, it's one that's evolved, and I think just gotten better and better.
Wow.
And I've not been. I have a friend that went not long ago and loved it, but I hear it's a really great experience too.
That would be awesome. Like, well, so we actually have a distillery here in Newark.
Okay, but I've heard, but I've not been.
I think it's called 6 Points Distillery.
Okay.
So they have a bar, but they have a distillery called 6 Points. 6 Points whiskey. So I have to email them or give them a call and see if I can set something up with them. But I seen like Great Jones. So the story with Great Jones is that they're based in Manhattan, correct?
They are the first, from what I understand, the first distillery post-prohibition to be based in Manhattan, not in New York City. In New York City,
wow,
the full city, that would have been Kings County post-prohibition, and then Manhattan.
Okay, wow.
Really, Great Jones. I've been a couple of times. I love it.
Yeah. They
have a great cocktail experience, an amazing tour. I love what they're doing. I think Great Jones is really solid.
Like Great Jones, and then I'm trying to think of another one that I know, that at least I know of, that is pretty local, and man, in my mind, like anytime I get put on the spot, like my mind just kind of.
It's all right. There's so many in New York. There's tons.
Goes. Yeah, so like I know for a fact I need to go to the Midwest just to be able to try like all these different whiskeys because like Kentucky is like heartland, you know,
Oh yeah,
like and having and also having that experience
it is.
of doing your own barrel of doing your own bottle over at the Maker's Mark place.
Yeah.
But have you tried any of Kerry's whiskeys from Mill? You already know Penelope. That's my baby right there.
Penelope, yeah.
Yeah. Have you tried any of those from Pegleg?
Oh yeah, no, I have. Yeah, we saw Peg Leg. Actually, I was lucky enough. I know Peg Leg really well. I was lucky enough to be the first to write about his bourbon when it came out, and
Oh
it's
wow.
incredible stuff. I love it.
No, Kerry is probably if you want to go, okay, uh, bring somebody that's super interesting. Oh, okay, you know what? I got somebody perfect. You bring Kerry, and he's the life of the party.
He really is. He's a fun character, and
Yeah,
his bourbon's
his,
really good. His
bur-
barbecue is really good.
his barbecue is off the shit. It's amazing.
It is.
I,
It
I
really is.
I really wish that he could have made it up this year. Oh man.
Well, we're gonna hopefully see him soon. Will you come visit me? We can go to Kentucky, Louisville. We
Yeah,
can go over to Nashville and see Carrie.
yeah.
There's a lot of places we can see, and of course, if if
Well,
any of
I hear that Nashville is really kicking up their that they're really kicking up a lot of distilleries down there in Nashville.
right, they are, and there's quite a few based in Nashville. Again, there's the Tennessee Whiskey Trail that
Yeah,
I highly recommend. And if any of y'all that are watching or ever visiting an area, you're like, what distillery should I visit? You can always drop me a line. I'm always happy to try to give some advice
yeah,
if I know a good distillery in that area because there's just so many now everywhere.
yeah. And you could reach Tom on Instagram at the Bourbon Blog or on
Yeah,
Facebook at Tom Fisher.
yeah.
So once this is over, just add him on both. So also get those you know get those Instagram likes up.
We'll have a few new friends that we can help guide through the experience. I
Yeah,
always like having new friends.
or you know what, like some people would say you're creating a lot of alcoholics, and then some people would say
Just
that should
helping
create
encourage it along.
exactly like some people would say that you're creating a lot of good new friends.
I hope we can have all those. And then a lot of these folks end up showing up at events like Cigar BQ, and then
Yeah,
it's just amazing to see them coming from so many miles. We had people come from so many miles away a few
yeah.
weeks ago.
So what do you have planned after the Kentucky Derby? What do you have lined up for
I'm
it?
going to be in Reno at a Craft Spirits Expo. I'll be at some other events throughout the year. I do some food and wine festivals, and of course,
Yeah,
I'm always around for private events that people want to do. But I know I'll be several places coming up in June, July. I'll
yeah.
hopefully be back up near you, my friend. And
Yeah, I remember
near
last
you.
year you were supposed to be coming to New York City for an event.
Yeah, actually, you know what? We filmed and that's going to be out soon on cigarworld.com. Not sure exactly when,
Wow.
but we did a cigar and whiskey pairing series with Sean Williams and myself with
Wow,
Cohiba,
yeah.
a master class, and that'll be out soon. Just be watching Cigar World. We'll tell you about it on Bourbon Blog, and when that happens too, I'll make sure I let you know.
Yeah, so no,
Oh,
speaking
we
of
filmed it at Macanudo. Club Macanudo is where we filmed it.
wow, okay. So
Yeah.
speaking of Sean Williams, and back then he had a well, I think he still does have a cigar with Weller.
Yep, they have the Cohiba has the Weller. They do every
Yeah,
year. They've done it 3 or 4 years in a row. It's at least 3 or
yeah,
4, and it's changed every year. The first year there was no bourbon influence. It was designed to be paired with bourbon, and it did that. And the last couple, it's been aged in used Weller barrels. Some of the leaf or binder. I'm forgetting exactly which one.
nice.
It's incredible. It's an incredible cigar. Really,
Uh,
really beautiful cigar.
well, Mac has to take off. He's saying good night to you, Tom. Texas gave you a follow.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Thank you all. You're an amazing group. It means a lot to be here with you. I'm so glad we can we
Of
can
course.
talk and line up some good stuff and try some good stuff. It gives me a good excuse to
Yeah, to
have
have
some fun on a Tuesday night.
exactly. You know, I'm pretty sure the wife was like, "You have a podcast on a Tuesday, really?"
It's
You
all
know,
right.
yeah, yeah. So so when you're sitting at the house and you're trying different whiskeys, like they say sometimes women have better palates than men. Does your wife deal with
My
that?
wife has an incredible palate. I think that has maybe been proven. I mean, I think that overall that's true, that women have incredible palates. I mean, whiskey makers, winemakers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there have been some studies that show that. My wife has a really good one.
Like I'm pretty sure she probably picks up stuff that you don't pick up, and you're like, really?
Yeah, just comparing notes back and forth. A lot of it's reference points too, and it's also not only just by man, woman, but different people from different regions of
Yeah,
the country will pull. What
yeah,
you may have of a lot in New
yep,
York, I may have had less of, as far as food, regional cuisine. To me, that's what's interesting too. Going
yeah,
a lot of different places and seeing what people have more of and what they taste, what they bring to the party.
yeah. That's so. That's so interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You got cocktails and pies and specialties and
Mm,
Nevada um,
yeah,
versus Massachusetts, and those notes are what we're thinking of when we're going to. What does this remind me of? Maybe pecan pie in Kentucky,
wow, yeah,
or biscuits or whatever it might be. I mean, there's one bourbon. We often say like Breckenridge bourbon is a really good bourbon. It has this buttery cornbread note to me.
yeah,
So
wow,
that's there's a lot of bready notes or pastries even
yeah.
sometimes pick up on bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
I have there's, by the way, there's tons of great whiskey wheels, but I do have one up on Bourbon Blog. It's really easy to find. It's just bourbonblog.com forward
Yeah,
slash
yeah.
forward
So
slash
guys,
wheel
put that in your history. Bourbonblog.com. Check that
forward
out.
slash wheel. Yeah. And then you
So
can find the wheel that I use for bourbon, but there's tons. There's tons
so
people use.
what was your last article you wrote up, Tom?
What did I last write about? I think I wrote about this vodka that I'm trying, and I've been catching up on content because I was traveling for 8 days, 8 or 9
Yeah,
days doing
yeah.
cigar barbecue. Then I did Albany, and I did a bunch of different distilleries, and I'm still catching up. But you're going to be seeing a lot from my East Coast trip.
Yeah, well, so vodka. So I didn't know you dibble dabbled in also the vodkas too.
Oh no, I'm sorry. And I by the way, I do like vodka some. It was the
Yeah.
Bacta. It sounds similar. The Bacta is the one I wrote about, but it's okay.
Okay. All right.
And
Yeah.
I will say this: I do like vodka. I do some tastings on vodka. There's one that I would recommend trying that you can really get regionality differences. Belvedere itself is really good. Belvedere does two vodkas that are single estate. So they use the same rye, but it's grown in two different regions of Poland. And I forget the name of that, but look up single estate Belvedere. They do one that's like the Smagorty forest, and then another one's a little smokier. But it shows you that if you're doing different styles of grain in different areas, that it can taste very different. So I do recommend that. And Chopin's nice too. I do like vodka though. I do drink it.
So is there any if you barrel aged some vodka, is it vodka anymore?
Well, there's been some experiments. I don't know where it actually falls under as far as a legal category, but I've seen it done.
Okay.
And again, it's been distilled more times. Vodka's more loose than other things because you can distill apples and make vodka. You can distill corn and make vodka. But I know there are some. I've seen more barrel-aged gin than anything. I mean, as far as clear spirits, there's a lot of barrel-aged gin that I'm seeing. And really, gin is similar to vodka because you're really just enhancing the flavor with juniper and a lot of other botanicals. But barrel-aged gin can be nice. Have you had
Interesting.
any barrel aged gin? You know,
No, so
you see
I
it
like
so.
gin. Yeah, I like gin. I like gin straight on the rocks. You
I do
know,
too. I like it by. I mean, I like tonic, but I like it by
yeah,
itself.
yeah, by itself. I'm a real big guy on the first time out. Don't mix it. Don't put it in old fashioned. Have it straight. Really get those flavor notes, and then after, then mix it and see what it does well with. Like
Right,
for your palate, like what it what cocktail you really want to mix with it.
right. No, I like
Yeah.
the gins. I like trying a little bit of everything. Tell me
Yeah.
again what you. I want to make sure we tell the group what you tried and what I tried. You've been drinking which one?
So I am drinking the Rebel 100.
Yep. Rebel 100 is
Oh,
really good. It's 100 proof, right?
yes.
And I've had tonight,
Yep.
again, this has been so nice, and I really appreciate you having me on. The Hudson whiskey, 7-year-old, I think, and I could be wrong, you have to get this one at the distillery unless they've had some smaller
Wow.
releases. And then this one you will find in some markets, but you can find it online. The Bacta, brand new 2014 Armagnac
Wow.
finish. Again, man, thanks again for having me on tonight. I'm so
Of course. Well, guys, we got
to have a
one
sip
more
with you,
point.
and
Yeah.
and thanks to everybody too, just for hanging out and sipping
Yeah.
and smoking this. You have a very engaged crowd, and it means a lot to see all these folks enjoy.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I'm so because like I don't have followers. These are all friends. So
Right.
it's because some of these people they watch us 3 times a week.
It's
So
amazing.
it's not something where they're viewers no more. They're more friends because they catch in on the jokes and they become a part of the show. So it's like, so like let's just say Kyle, he makes a joke but the joke didn't land right, and we come back at him, for the next 3 shows. Anytime Kyle says something, we're gonna go right back at him. Where it's
You're
like,
gonna go. Right.
yeah. So it's like it's not viewers, it's friends.
It's what it's about, having a community,
Yeah,
and it means a lot now to
it's
be a
it's
bigger
it's
part of
pre-
community.
it's,
That
it's
means a lot.
pretty amazing. It's pretty cool. All
Thanks,
right,
sir.
guys. So, guys, we're gonna end it here. I want to thank you guys so much for just being here. Tom, thank you so much, and
Hey,
we have to set it up for Michael to be here
I'd love that. Yes.
because first of all, like I know for a fact that show is gonna be insane, and if I can get Peter there, like if I can get all 3 of you guys in the same, because like especially like to get like all 3 like different whiskey bourbon experts in on one show, and the only thing I have to do is just ask questions and just let you guys fire
I
away.
love it. No, let's do it. I'd
Yeah,
love to come back on
yeah,
soon, and maybe we'll organize it to where we can all have something similar, or maybe we
yeah.
try to trick each other with a blind bottle or something.
That would be great. Yes, that would be great. You know what? I'm gonna contact Peter and Michael about that, and we'll set that up, guys. But you guys know the vibes already. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Go follow Tom at the Bourbon Blog on Instagram, Tom Fischer on Facebook. I want to thank you guys so much for joining. I appreciate you guys so much, and let's run it up to 500. So get your grandma to subscribe, get your girlfriend to subscribe, get 3 friends to subscribe to the channel. I just want to say thank you guys. I appreciate it. Until next time, peace.
Cheers.
Cheers.